So we're talking about the Banshees of Inisherin. Inisherin. Let's say Inisherin.
Gesundheit.
The Banshees of Inisherin. And later on, we'll be talking about the movie Tar. Is it Tar?
I think
Two titles that I'm not sure how to pronounce, even though I've just seen both films. I think it's Tar. I think Lydia Tar was Cate Blanchett's character name. Isn't that right?
Yeah. But the accent over the A is throwing me off.
Yeah, just like the one on Pesha.
It throws everybody off.
Pizza. You did not get a chance to see the Banshees of Inisherin. I did. I saw it in theaters. It was my return to cinema, and boy, did I pick a good one to go see. The jury's still out on whether you would enjoy this movie. It might seem like watching golf on TV to you.
Well, that could go one of two ways. Sometimes
Not the Masters.
Okay, then no.
No, but you really enjoy this director's past work, I think. You know Martin McDonagh?
I see that he's done 7 Psychopaths, which I loved.
Yeah.
3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking this up right now.
Oh, yeah.
I wish you didn't have the cheat sheet, because your whole life is a cheat sheet, especially when talking to me about film.
Yeah, that's true. I'm bad with names of names.
I'm bad with names, dates, and pretty much anything related to movies.
Right, exactly. Just that I could just help make them.
And producing it.
Hey, that's where I draw the line.
No, when Martin McDonagh comes back to form after making a huge splash with 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which I thought was the best movie of 2017. And I'm a huge fan of In Bruges and 7 Psychopaths. He's just one of those filmmakers that he had such a voice when he came onto the scene, especially with 3 Billboards. I remember thinking, this is like the most wicked movie I've ever seen. And it's also hilarious.
Yeah.
And so establishing that style from him as a filmmaker, that's kind of what draws me to the Banshees of Inisherin. First of all, is because I know it's going to be a McDonagh film, and he's, I'm not going to say an unsung filmmaker, but I don't think, he has the cachet yet of a Scorsese or a Kubrick or something name-wise, unless you are a big fan of his. I think most people go, oh my God, I like all those movies. I didn't know that was by one person. Now I know his name, and I think he's going to be even more famous going down the road, especially this year, because I think the Banshees is definitely going to, you're going to see it not only at the Independent Spirit Awards, but you'll probably see it at the Oscars a couple times over. You know nothing about this movie, right?
No. Should I tell the people a little bit about it?
Yeah, tell me what you know.
So it's...
you're reading.
According to some sources, two lifelong friends find themselves at an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship, with alarming consequences for both of them. We already said it was written and directed by Martin McDonagh and stars Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Kerry Condon, and Barry Cogan.
Good. Yeah. So it's set in Ireland, in a fictitious town in Ireland, and it's a very simple story, but it's so dense. That's one of the reasons I've loved it so much. You have so many questions about the nature of the characters that you see in this movie that you can't wait to see what happens next. I mean, in the synopsis, it says how simple it is. It's literally about a guy who seemingly wakes up one day and says to his best friend, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, so don't contact me anymore. Never really giving the reason why. And his friend played, Brendan Gleeson plays the guy that breaks up with his friend, basically. And his friend, Colin Farrell, is literally thrown for a loop going, but why?
Yeah.
And you don't really know. It's kind of, is Colin Farrell's character a silly person and Brendan Gleeson's character is a serious person about life? Is one deeper than the other? Does one have more ambition? Brendan Gleeson is a musician and a beautiful violin player or fiddle player. Colin Farrell has a pet pony.
Okay, well, seems very, very equal friendship.
No, it doesn't at all. What are you talking about?
You play some music, you get to ride my pony. That sounds like a great Sunday.
See, you are the wrong audience for this movie. Let me tell you. When I say simple, you say snore.
No, it's not. Well, it depends. Do you figure out why? Do they give you the reason, or is it left up to the imagination? You don't have to give me the. I just want to know if they.
It's a movie about friendship gone awry, and we have to figure out what reason that is. A quote that always comes to my mind, I can't remember where I heard it from, but it's best friends can become strangers. and you don't know because the nature of friendship is such a mystery to begin with. The movie makes you identify that and then ask the question, why do we choose to hang out with total strangers and then we hang out with them for a long time? And then why could that fade if we'd known each other for that long time? And then why would Brendan Gleeson's character, as he does in this, go out of his way to end the friendship? And then the consequence he gives Colin Farrell's character is, if you don't stop bothering me, I'm going to cut off one of my fingers from my fiddle hand every time you bother me until I have no fingers left and I can't play the fiddle anymore.
Wow. That is fucked up.
Yeah, that's the kind of movie this is. It's so simple, and then they throw in the cutting off the finger device, and you go, now this is interesting.
And there's a pony.
There is a pony, and the pony does play an integral part of the plot, and the fingers do. Can you imagine that he does cut off one or many of his fingers, Andy?
I can imagine he does at least one.
Well, you have to think of who the director is. And if you think back to what you've seen in 7 Psychopaths and 3 Billboards, he makes movies that make my intestines squirm because of the realism of the violence or the realism in the evil nature of people. Sam Rockwell's character makes me sick to my stomach because he's such a fucking prick racist in 3 Billboards. And in this, the very real threat of losing your fingers with a pair of sheep shears is enough to make me never forget this movie ever again.
Wow.
No spoilers here, but of course he's going to lose a finger, right?
Right.
And
if that premise is there, you got to.
He cuts it off brazenly, and then he goes to Colin Farrell's house and he throws it at his door in defiance. He's like, I told you, motherfucker. Here's my finger. Man. Leave me the fuck alone.
Brendan Gleeson, great actor, man. I can just imagine him doing it too.
Oh, I think it's one of the most beautifully shot, if not the most beautifully shot movie of the year. And second to that, or I don't even know what order it is, it's one of the best acted movies of the year, ensemble-wise, and especially because of Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who are always great, especially Brendan Gleeson. I think he has a flawless career. And Colin Farrell has made this turn. I've always been a big fan of his, but he was Bullseye, wasn't he, in Daredevil?
I don't remember.
He was. Take my word for it.
Okay, for sure.
The Ben Affleck one.
I try to block that one out.
I even give you a set of like old Marvel movies starring Ben Affleck, and you're like, I don't really know. I don't really watch movies.
No, that's not true. It's just that was before.
Even I've seen Daredevil with Ben Affleck. I saw it in theaters.
Wow. See, look, you are a fan
of Ben Affleck. Okay. Sure. I don't think anybody's a fan of the 2000s Daredevil with Ben Affleck, though, right?
I erased it from my memory.
I mean,
obviously. Michael
Clark Duncan is Kingpin. That might have been the saving grace of it, but wow, that weird scene with him and Elektra. I've only seen that movie once, and I literally can tell you every scene for the movie. That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
That's very strange. I have total recall of Daredevil. What was I saying? God, you took me down the Daredevil path. Oh, Colin Farrell.
How he's transformed into this wonderful thespian from bad boy to thespian.
No, still bad boy. I think he got in trouble with that sex tape with the guy from Creed. Remember?
Oh yeah,
that's such a weird story. I won't talk about that. Just Google that if the listeners out. That's a weird story. Creed, Scott Stapp, and Colin Farrell in a sex tape scandal. And there's other people there too. So
it wasn't just him, but he's the only actor.
Okay, so but I think since Saving Mr. Banks, Colin Farrell changed in my mind because I felt so bad for him in that movie. Did you see that movie?
Yes, I did.
As Emma Thompson's father. Alcoholic father that can't seem to do anything right in his family. And he makes such a fool out of himself in that movie in a public forum that I kind of fell in love with Colin Farrell as in sort of that way where you go, please don't make him go through pain anymore because he's such a nice guy.
Right.
Because of that character in Saving Mr. Banks. So a little bit of that is transference over into the Banshees of Inisherin and his role in this. His characterization of the role is unbelievable because he has so much vulnerability and it's so sweet and again so simple. You feel terrible for him that he's going through this and losing a friend and he has no idea why. And so he refuses to accept it. And then the consequence of him not accepting it is his friend losing the ability to do his life's passion, which is to play the violin or the fiddle. So it's the conundrum of what you go through for Colin Farrell's character in this, you put yourself in his shoes, I think, and I couldn't really put myself in Brendan Gleeson's shoes because I kept thinking, why would he do this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why?
I'm sure that there are reasons in this that they gave me that maybe I did miss. And he didn't just wake up one day and friendships is over. I hope it isn't. I hope it really is just he woke up and said this friendship is over, because that's more like real life to me. Just one day you just go, and I don't want to be friends with you anymore. It's very weird because I keep searching for what Colin Farrell's character did wrong and what Brendan Gleeson is thinking. And the only thing I can come up with is Colin Farrell doesn't take his life as seriously as Brendan Gleeson does to have a passion like the violin, a life's passion. Colin Farrell is sort of the guy who just owns a farm and he loves his pony and he lives with his sister, but he doesn't really have any ambition in life to do anything besides just be and exist. So that might be the undercurrent to why Brendan Gleeson's character says it's over, because we've all had that friend that just doesn't have their shit together, and you go, I can't watch this anymore. Even if they're doing nothing, it drives you crazy.
Right. No, I totally get that. Yeah, well, you saw the movie. I have no idea why, but maybe that is the reason why.
Yeah. Well, it's also has a lot of a great feeling, because by the third act, it feels very much like this could be like an Irish Hatfields versus McCoy's origin story kind of thing.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
The names sound familiar.
Jesus Christ. I think Kevin Costner was in the miniseries, but the Hatfields, it was this famous, I think it was in the South, but famous families that, two individuals got in a fight, 200 years ago, and the fight between the two families continued for generations.
Yeah.
Even if you probably heard the term Hatfields versus McCoys. It's like a neighborly thing that gets passed down from generation to generation. Their kids of their kids of their kids don't even know why they're still feuding, but the families just hate each other.
Right, yeah.
And that's what this sort of Banshees ends up feeling like, because of where it goes, the stakes turn out to be so high. The characters, I won't say which ones, the characters sort of change on screen in front of our eyes to the point where, oh, shit just got real. And it's not just, I'm losing a friend or I'm telling my friend to go away. It's about, oh, you done fucked up now.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Really?
And that's why I encourage you to watch it, because, not giving it away, but it really does come to a head where you think, of course he's going to get his friend back. That's not a Martin McDonagh film.
Yeah.
And it goes where you absolutely won't guess it goes. The stakes again are heightened, and we love him for it. It's a brilliant film. It's one of the year's very, very best. I would watch it again just for the cinematography alone. I could watch this on silent, on mute, just to watch this beautiful, beautiful film, and then watch it all over again because the acting, it's just that great. And the Irish dialect they use, which is a lot of throwback to words that I have no idea what they're really saying. I can kind of just infer with context clues. It's kind of like that, that old English from like the early 20th century. You go like, yeah, I think it's Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
I get it.
But you get it. You get the gist of it. Yeah. I speaking of Colin Farrell, actually, I've been thinking about it because the other actor, Barry Cunningham, I remember him. He's in a bunch of the Yorgos Lanthimos movies, like the Lobster, Killing a Sacred Deer. Yeah, The Favorite, and like Colin Farrell, man. Like those were, like you said.
Barry Keoghan. Oh yeah, he's the kid from Killing of a Sacred Deer. Was he in The Lobster?
I know he wasn't in The Lobster, but like I'm saying, Colin Farrell, like just his turn as an actor too. I forgot about that when you were talking about and that Saving Mr. Banks. Like that's one for me. I was like, fuck yeah, Colin Farrell, you're doing this crazy weird shit.
Thanks, I already said that.
Well,
you're reiterating and taking credit like you came up with it. What a producer's trick.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to sell you this movie you've already made.
Right. Well, that's welcome to 80% of what's at the box office.
But yeah, Barry Keoghan is a tank of a young actor, and I can't wait to keep seeing what he is doing, because after Killing of a Sacred Deer, I don't think I'll ever not be terrified of that kid.
Right. He was just so fucking creepy.
He scared the shit out of me in that. And I didn't even that's the thing. I didn't enjoy the new Batman. And so I guess he was in the one scene at the end. He's going to play the Joker next or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. But If he does it, that's interesting. Okay, I think it's way better than, or more interesting than Jared Leto playing the Joker, or because I think this kid he's got something weird inside of him where he can play a villain that is so real, it's scary.
Right.
And it's weird because he doesn't play a villain in the Banshees of Inisherin, and it's almost like against type, but it works. And I think you'll also enjoy his performance in that. It's just an A+ movie, and I think no matter what my opinion of you is personally, Andy, I think you would enjoy this movie.
Thank you. Well, I'll take that as a compliment somewhere in there. You can't ride my pony.
It's a compliment.
Yes.
Let's move on to Tar, because I'm excited to talk to you about this because you've actually seen this movie, which is probably not going to make this a better review.
Probably
but,
not.
Nevertheless.
Right, let's keep it rolling. But I did watch this one. I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what Tar is about.
Set in the international world of Western classical music, the film centers on Lydia Tarr, widely considered one of the greatest living composer-conductors and first ever female music director of major German orchestra. Written and directed by Todd Field, starring Cate Blanchett, Noemi Merlant, Nina Haas, and Sophie Kerr.
Okay. Where do you really start with Tar? I'm going to ask you.
Let's start at the top of the piece.
It's terrible. It's terrible writing.
Well, it's a musical composition.
That's why you're not a writer.
But yeah, I was looking forward to this. I saw the trailer a few weeks back.
Tell me why. Tell me why you in particular were looking forward to this.
Two reasons. Any movie about music, I'm there. And then
the symphony, huh?
Even the symphony.
I don't take you for a lover of fine art, nay the symphony, nay the opera, ballet.
I've never been to an opera myself, so I can't say opera. But I've been to a ballet and I've been to many symphony performances, and I enjoy it immensely.
Just listen to the way you're saying that.
No, I do enjoy.
You're the worst fucking actor I've ever heard in my life. That was so not convincing. It's like somebody had a gun to your head, or you're at a Hollywood party and literally you're bullshitting out of your anus.
But this time I'm not. I'm speaking the truth. I really do enjoy listening to symphonies play, listening to live music.
Top 5 symphonies you've ever been to.
Thank you. The San Francisco Symphony. I've been there a few times.
Okay, I really don't even care about
the Carolina Opry.
That's the most boring question.
Symphony.
No, that's the most boring question I could have ever asked you. And I know everybody out there went, do we really give a shit about the symphonies of Andrew Pesha?
This could be the name of my musical movie.
Yeah, it's every morning after you have ice cream. So where do you really start with Tar, if not the performance?
Right.
By Cate Blanchett, who is one of our industry's very fine actors, and she has been for a very long time. She's like fine china. You don't want to break her, and you're ecstatic when you see it's in use.
Yes. Special occasions.
I don't know if that's offensive or not, but that's the way I feel about Cate Blanchett. I really, really, really love her craft, and she always picks an amazing role, and then she brings an amazing performance and a brand new performance I've never seen. Despite Blue Jasmine, that's the only performance that I can see where I love the performance, and I also can see where she was influenced by Streetcar Named Desire and Blanche Dubois and all that. But usually it's a completely original performance. I mean, for fuck's sake, she played Bob Dylan better than anybody in that movie played Bob Dylan. What was that called? Don't Look Now.
Don't Look Now.
Don't Look Now. I mean, she's the best part about that movie, and it's a woman playing Bob Dylan, and she did the best in the movie.
It's Wait a minute, Don't Look Up. No, never mind. Don't Look Down. Whatever, the Bob Dylan movie.
Don't Look Down or Don't Look Now?
Don't Look Now, probably.
What do you mean?
It's not searching.
I can hear you clicking the keyboards. You going, oh, I don't know, probably. I don't know how computers work. It's only 2022.
It's not showing up on her actor.
So you can't just Google "Don't Look Bob Dylan." I have to explain what Google. This is why it's frustrating, ladies and gentlemen. This is why it's frustrating to be friends with him and then also have a podcast, because I have to literally explain how to use Google to this man. What are you still Googling? You're still typing.
I'm not there.
That's what it's called. Thank God. Okay. See, and I was wrong. I will admit I was wrong about that, but you're still a moron.
No wonder why I wasn't showing up. I'm like, don't look up. That's why.
Where do you really start with Tar, if not the performance? The brilliance of the performance. It's mixed with the amazing style of Todd Field's film. And it works so well together that it allows you to settle in and accept the pacing of the film right away. Do you agree?
Oh, totally.
No, you don't.
What do you mean,
You do not.
No, I.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
The pace. Oh, of course.
The brilliance of the performance. Think about that. Okay. And then mixing that with the style and allowing you to accept the pacing of the film.
Yeah, you know this is going to be very, very long, very
No, you
dramatic,
do not. No, you do not.
Very heartfelt, very, very tense, emotional.
I knew it. I knew you were bored. I knew you thought it was long, and that is horseshit because that's why I liked the movie, because it was long, because it's a lovely reminder that we can breathe at the cinema again. It doesn't have to be cut, 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 cut. The characters are allowed to exist in real time, a real world, and we're allowed to feel them. What is your problem?
What do you mean, what is my problem? I do enjoy this type of movie every once in a while.
You always have to give like a little sidebar to give criticism.
No,
just because you didn't like it, because you didn't understand it.
I did understand it. I felt it deeply.
Okay, you're back in that bullshit mode again.
No, I'm serious. I really did enjoy this movie. I was looking forward to it, and I knew what I was kind of getting into when I watched the trailer, and I was like, I don't understand what the fuck's going on in the trailer.
What were you getting into?
The movie.
Not getting the movie and not understanding the movie.
That is not it. But when I saw the trailer, because I had my own preconceptions about it, and I thought it was just going to be like this, like more cookie cutter biopic about this. Maybe it's a real conductor or not.
Why would you think that? I have no idea why you would think this would be cookie cutter at all.
But then I watched the trailer because I just heard I just heard what it was about, and then I saw the trailer, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a ride.
Thank God that you are not the official record keeper of history, because if stories were passed down by you and it was what you heard and your preconceptions and then you told other people, history's already fucked, but we wouldn't even know what potatoes were.
Hey, yeah, we would know what potatoes were.
Yeah.
We would know what French fries were, not potatoes.
Okay, so anyway, so if you remember a movie Elvis, right?
Yes, I do.
Now that was it was heart-wrenching for me to watch that movie. I know people that were fans of that movie, but the problem I had with Elvis was of how fast-paced it was. You could not live in a scene for more than it felt like 30 seconds. You never got to live and breathe with Elvis. And you can say that's a stylistic choice and his life was chaotic and he didn't get to live with himself. He had to be Elvis the whole time. Bullshit. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. Bob Dylan, even the president of the United States, has to stand naked every morning. Okay, so everybody is a real person. I don't care if you're Elvis or if you're Frank Sinatra or if you're Andrew Pesce.
That's right.
The cinema has become so scary to me because I think we have been heading that way for a long time, where it has to be so fast-paced. The audience cannot stand to sit in a scene with themselves for too long because our brains are so wired to go somewhere else quickly because we're looking at a screen all day that can take us anywhere. And most people don't go anywhere with the screen, so that's why it's all bullshit. That's why I'm in deep trouble here as a filmmaker and as an audience member if this is the way we're going, and I think we're headed that way.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
I'm not asking you to disagree or not. I'm having a conversation with myself.
But with this movie, I think you're grossly wrong about prejudging what I thought about.
Fine. Okay, so that's my take on it, that you were bored and you said it was long. I'm going to use your words against you.
I said long takes. It's not a long movie. It's a long shot.
I wish we could go back to the tape.
That little flag.
But it's about the world of orchestra, and that's the central point, I guess. Question mark to Andrew Pesce. In the same way, remember that great show Mozart in the Jungle was?
I never watched that.
Okay, watch that. If you like movies about music and especially about it's like the realest symphony show ever, and it was the realistic representation of what it's like to be in orchestral band. And I know we both were, nerd alert.
Yes.
It's highly competitive. It's stressful. There's major egos, but there's something so alluring about it, I think, to most people, It's very niche though. I think because these musicians are considered to be the best musicians on the planet. So that's alluring to want to watch, we're watching geniuses at work here. So that's at least why I like to watch it. Not to mention my family was involved in symphonic bands their whole lives. But the idea that they set this movie around the world of the symphony, I mean, you have me just because of how personal that is to me as a a child growing up in this, seeing your parents go through all these things, but also Kate Blanchett just makes being a conductor look so sexy.
Oh yeah, and the passion that she has, and to reach the top of being the number one composer or conductor in the world, right? With the German symphony.
Well,
shit's gonna be to keep at that level. It's you got to fire at all cylinders all the time.
Well, that's interesting. We talk about the movie's intention and what it was about. I think you can make the case for this was the world of orchestra as the central point, but I think it's more of a character study, and the orchestra is actually doesn't take a back seat to it, but it's more about what is really going on in this woman's life and what is her deep, dark secret, because it's sort of a mystery novel of a movie set around a conductor in a prestigious orchestra. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would, because this whole time, because you slowly see her change, like not change, maybe just some things come to the surface throughout the whole movie as you learn more about her.
Well, the mystery of the film is what lies beneath the surface. I mean, is Tar a bad person who uses her position for her own selfish carnal desires? Or it's like there's a very Whiplash feel to the movie, mentor versus mentee, not totally about one singular mentee, but just in general, sort of the power struggle between somebody like a conductor in this position. But what I like best about the movie is the mystery. You don't tell your audience, and especially this style of movie, you don't tell your audience what her secret is, and you just kind of allude to it, which leaves us guessing the whole time. We're rooting for this person because she seems like she's broken to a certain degree, and she's clawed her way up to the success that she's gotten, and we want her to keep it, but oh no, don't let it be true what we think might be true, that she's actually a fucking monster.
Right.
And I think in my mind, my audiences, my beautiful audiences out there, they'll love you as a writer and as a director for letting the audience add up the answers and not telling us overtly exactly what 1 + 1 is. First of all, it's better to talk about at parties if you're a film snob. If you like to talk about films at parties, which you don't, and amongst friends, it's that great question that I love when I talk to friends about film. What did actually happen in the film? And I'm pretty sure I could hear a differing opinion on what this film was about and what actually did happen in this film. And I could listen to most people's differing opinion on that if it was different than mine, just not yours, Andy.
Oh, I got it. Well, that's why we have the podcast.
I mean, it's kind of one-sided.
Yeah, my side.
Yeah, all right, fine. Well, then tell me, Andy. Tell me what did happen in this film without spoilers, obviously, and what do you think the movie was about?
Well, what I think happened in the movie was that
The synopsis.
the pressure, along with one of the events that happened in the movie, which took some things out of context, without giving anything away. That's what drove her to the edge of insanity. Because she was
insanity,
not insane. She did not insane, but just to kind of get to a boiling point where she can't take it anymore. Just from the pressure and kind of the things that are going on, because no one has taken this like as serious as she is, and how passionate she is about doing this fifth movement or fifth symphony from Mahler. She feels like she's the only one that's taken this seriously. No one else gets it but her, even though everyone's along for the ride.
See, I disagree completely with your assessment. I think everyone takes her seriously. I think that she's not struggling for anyone to take her seriously. I think she's in a very vulnerable position, especially as a woman, female conductor at the top. feeling the pressure of that and being in that position in any gender, you have a target on your back, especially when it is so niche. And it is, think about how many conductors you know right now. There are not a lot. So everybody wants your job. Everybody wants first chair. Everybody wants to do a solo, just like in the movie. I think the position has so much pressure attached to it that her ego has to be so ironclad and huge that she drinks her own medicine and she becomes drunk with her own power, and that catches up with her.
Very interesting.
I'm not here for you to disagree with.
Wait,
I'm
this
saying,
is like the cocktail party. We're at the party right now.
yes,
we're talking about the
but
movie.
I'm talking to someone I don't respect.
You better be talking in front of a mirror because I know that ain't me. And you know what? You should respect yourself. I care about you.
I do respect myself for sure. Having said that, okay, fine. I will make some space for your. Even though I completely disagree. I completely disagree with your assessment. Again, that makes no sense. That's not the same movie that I watched.
Well, that's the beauty of cinema, is the world in which the eye of the audience member takes it. Well, it's not. I agree with your points too, man. If you mesh them together, you got the movie.
This is one of those cases where I could argue you out of your own opinion, but I'm not going to do that on this episode because it will tarnish Tar. Got that? See what I did there? Sidestep and great joke.
Maybe. I don't know about the second part.
Strangely enough, though, if we could just bring this back to our latest production, Track Shack, can we talk about Sammy Diamond?
Yeah, let's do it.
You're supposed to say, what about Sammy Diamond?
What about Sammy Diamond?
There is a strong sense when I'm watching Tar that this is Track Shack without the jokes.
Yeah, I did get that feeling of it when we were watching. You know, it's the serious
Track Shack, which I actually argue that Track Shack is serious. You're just all laughing at it for some reason because that's the way I wrote it.
Yeah.
But I think Lydia Tarr is somehow connected to our character, one of our main characters, Sammy Diamond, or we've just been working on this project for a year and everything reminds you of it. But it's a very similar characterization. Very strong woman that seemingly has, I'm not going to say lack of moral judgment, but just she's been thrust into a position where she's not allowed to exude anything but confidence, or this is what happens. And that's what happens in Tar. And that's what doesn't happen in Track Shack and to our character, Sammy Diamond. So isn't that interesting? That's what I really liked about it. I felt like Lydia Tarr and our character, Sammy Diamond, they could almost be related sisters or something like that because they're very, very similar in terms of how they have to conduct themselves. See what I did? Very good. In real life because of being in a position of power as a woman. And there's something very empowering about that, and why there are, like in our show, Team Sammy and Team Freddie, the other character, that split into factions on who you root for in our show. And I would think it's very similar with Lydia Tarr because I think people are going to watch her and go, I think she's a very strong female character and we should look up to her, and she works hard, and I don't see any flaws in her. I think she's very confident, and
what happened to her was unfortunate, but it wasn't her fault, right?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I'm not going to judge her like you would, you prick.
No, I'm not judging. Well, I wasn't judging. I was saying it wasn't her fault. It's the times we live in.
Yeah. So I don't think it's just because we worked on this project, but I think I do identify with a strong female lead, and this was one of them, especially because it's Cate Blanchett. That's just terrific casting and a terrific performance. Besides Ana de Armas in Blonde, I think she's the obvious other contender for Best Actress this year after this performance.
Yeah, I agree. She was just phenomenal. And it's amazing how she just transcends every character. Just one of those actresses that you're like, fuck, is that Cate Blanchett? Except in Thor, I was like, damn it, that's Cate Blanchett.
And you have to talk about the shot in Juilliard that I think it's 30 minutes long when she's giving that speech to the students, and kind of belittles him.
Oh, that was all one shot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't even notice that, but see, that's how moving it was and how fast and not long.
Sure. Nice save. Try and save it now, and we have you on tape.
No, long takes. That is a long take. That's exactly what I was saying.
And I also had a little mini Todd Field marathon I watched Tar. I went back and I watched what's his other movie that I literally just watched it today. Little Children, I think it's called.
Little Children.
Yeah, Little Children. And then before that, I was introduced by In the Bedroom from 2001. That was my introduction to Todd Field, and that was such an incredible movie, especially for 2001. If you remember 2001, starring Sissy Spacek and Tom Wilkinson and Nick Stahl, to burst onto the scene like that, it turned a lot of heads, including mine. It's such a beautiful movie, and if you like Tar, watch In the Bedroom. I would say watch Little Children third, because I think he's done 3 feature films so far. I didn't feel like Little Children was entirely successful in the same way In the Bedroom or Tar was, but it's still definitely a Todd Field movie. It just seemed like a little bit of a sophomore, not slump, but just let's try to do the first movie again, just bigger and better, with a bigger budget and better cast. But you don't really need that. You can just do it simple again. But it's still very successful because, I mean, Kate Winslet is in it and Patrick Wilson. Oh my God. It's, the cast is amazing in that movie. It was narrated. The movie has narration by the guy that did Frontline for all those years. So it's very, very strange to listen. It feels like you're watching CNN or something.
Is it one of those docuseries?
No. It's just the guy just does voiceover for it, and he has the same voice from Frontline. It doesn't make any sense. It's very weird.
Yeah, you got to make money somehow.
Fuck it. Well, they could have chosen, somebody else. But yeah, I'm going to say you would not enjoy In the Bedroom or Little Children, and you barely enjoyed Tar.
I did not barely enjoy Tar.
Oh, you did. Yeah, I can tell.
Wow.
You're just being polite like we're at a Hollywood party.
I'm not being polite. You know me. If this is the safe space of, saying how we really feel about cinema and the state of it. So, no, I really did enjoy it.
Okay.
Today's episode of the Four Seasons of Film podcast is brought to you by Phil's Coffee. Phil's specializes in handcrafted coffee made 1 cup at a time. Visit a location today or find them on the web at philscoffee.com. That's Phil's with a Z, coffee.com. Find the beans you're looking for.
What else have we been watching since our last podcast?
I will admit, I've been so bad about writing down what we've watched or what I've watched for the past, since we were wrapping up some of the festivities for Track Shack. I bought a new planner, and it's my goal of 2023. I'm going to write down every day I watch the movie, write it in my little planner, and have the dates and all that. So,
did you hear me? I just dropped something because I'm so shocked.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's one movie. I don't know if you want to talk about it. You're probably going to be pissed I watched it without you, though.
Oh, I'm already pissed. Let me tell you, any movie that I don't see with you, I'm angry.
Smile. I watched Smile.
I couldn't have wanted you to watch that more without me.
Oh, okay, cool.
So tell me about Smile.
So Smile is it follows. Sorry, let me just read it instead of me summarizing it. That way,
I like the summarization.
So okay, you want here? Fuck it. Let's go off script.
It's way more lucid.
So it follows a psychologist that, after witnessing a bizarre patient kill themselves, and right before they killed themselves, do a smile, do this really sinister smile, she starts to see things, and this spirit or this energy starts following her, and it starts chasing her, and then she realizes that she's next to be possessed by this demon or whatever it kind of is.
Kind of reminds me of It Follows a little bit.
This movie definitely took a lot from It Follows.
Or maybe you can make 2 movies that are similar and not even have seen It Follows.
Yeah,
prick.
But it did remind me a lot of that. But I was, everyone's been talking about it. That did that publicity marketing thing during the World Series with the people,
which was brilliant, by the way. I mean, that's probably one of the best PR campaigns I've seen since the Blair Witch.
Yeah, having
paying for people to sit behind home plate during the World Series and smile menacingly during every pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some Nathan Fielder shit.
Yeah. I don't know who that is, but yeah.
The guy that did that weird show where he hired a family.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
That show. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of those brilliant shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, that takes Andy Kaufman to a new level. What was that called?
Oh, let's see.
As Andy vamps and Googles.
But while I'm looking that up, this movie Smile was directed and written by Parker Finn. It's his first feature. So he came out of the gate swimming.
The Rehearsal. It's called The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder, and it's on HBO Max. Please watch it. It will fuck you up.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, in a great way.
Yeah,
it's like watching you.
I could do that show.
So Smile was good.
It lived up to the hype because everyone was talking about it. And what was the Barbarian? That was the other one that everyone kept calling. Kept talking about during the Halloween season.
Oh yeah, it was a few years ago, right?
No, the one we just did it.
No, sorry, I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, we just watched Barbarian.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, let's see. Well, I enjoyed Barbarian. Let me see.
Was it the same director or something?
No, it just came out. It was the Halloween movies of this year.
Oh, well, what's the connection there? It's just a Halloween movie.
Yeah, but
why would you? How do you make a connection that you liked one movie that's a Halloween movie so you'll like Smile?
Well, no, I was like, let me give this one a talk. Everyone try. Everyone keeps.
So
talking
you just
about this
chose
one.
a different movie.
Yeah, that's how this works.
Oh boy.
You hear something on the streets. You hear little whispers.
You're not getting it, so we'll move on.
And so I gave this. I said I popped this in and gave it a watch, but no, I just streamed it.
I taped it.
Right, and it was so. There is some twists and turns in it, but the movie itself was really great because it wasn't the kind of jump scare, like cliche, like I'm going to get you. It was really leaned into the psychological portion of it. And this, the main actress played Rose Cotter, played by Susie Bacon, did a fantastic job of, because it's like one of those movies you like that everyone else thinks you're crazy, but you're actually not crazy because this is actually happening to you. And you're seeing all these things and no one believes you and no one believes what's going on. So this whole time she's just, and she's a psychologist. So people are like, why aren't you keeping it together? She talks to her therapist about kind of what's happening. And then she starts doing some research and kind of figures out why, why all this is happening and what's, why is this continuing to happen to different people. And so that's why it's kind of also like a whodunit in a certain aspect of it too. And it's just straight horror and the horror because you see these people just, succumb to this crazy, these crazy ways of how they kill themselves.
Okay. I want to read you two headlines to counterpoint your point about jump scares from this director. From the playlist, Smile review. Parker Finn's debut film is jump scare horror done really, really well. This is from IndieWire. Smile director interview. Parker Finn on jump scares. Smile director Parker Finn still loves jump scares and doesn't care if you don't.
Well, boy,
and you said this isn't a jump scare movie.
She dropped a wine glass a couple times, and that's what's supposed to scare you. But it's
literally
not.
In the title of the reviews I'm reading. Well, it's jump scare horror done really, really well. Andrew Pesce's headline: this is not a jump scare movie.
It's so much more than that.
Sure.
And I was listening at a lower volume. Maybe if I was in a theater.
A lower volume?
Yeah, in a theater where you're with people in the dark.
If you're at home, why aren't you listening to it whatever the fuck volume you want?
This was like a Saturday afternoon.
Even better.
Birds were chirping.
Who gives a shit what the volume is then? Did you put the subtitles on?
I did not. No, I don't do that for first movies.
Oof,
first viewing
I don't
of movies.
believe you.
I just do that for the late night movies when I know I'm going to fall asleep in like 10 minutes. And then I will watch that movie for the next 5 nights and finish it.
Somewhere out there, you're going to find your soulmate of film movies, whatever you want to call it, that you like to watch with. And I never want to meet that person.
Why?
Because it will be the most boring viewing parties of my life.
You talk a lot of shit about my film knowledge, and maybe I'm not the most eloquent, but I do have film knowledge, and I have seen a lot of films. So.
You can't even spell knowledge.
F-U-C-K.
Good. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably check out Smile just because it seemed like it was an intriguing movie. I'm not a big fan of jump scare movies, and apparently this is a jump scare movie.
It's not. I'm
despite
you
what
not.
You say.
Well, take it from me, the guy on the streets.
Yeah, you always listen to the guy under the bridge yelling.
Hobbit troll.
Other movies that we've seen. I saw David O. Russell's Amsterdam.
Ooh, how was that?
Recently. Got panned by the critics and nobody went to see it. And I actually saw a lot of redeeming qualities about it. I mean, it's set in the 1930s. It's about 3 friends that witness a murder. They're framed for it. And then you sort of uncover one of the most outrageous plots in American history.
Okay. I like
mean,
David
starring
Russell.
Christian Bale, and Christian Bale, number one, is an amazing actor, and he always does well with David O. Russell too. I mean, he won an Oscar for him, and he's been nominated for him 3 times, I think. But he always does great work with David O. Russell. And then the it girl of the time. I mean, Margot Robbie is kind of like the Emma Stone right now of this year and the past couple years. And then John David Washington is the third friend in it. And I just thought that it's such a great historical mystery. I think it was too dense for people to believe, number one. It might have been too long also for people in its exposition. But if you just give it a chance and just let it breathe, then it really does something to you by the end, where it all kind of comes together. I read one review that said it was kind of a mess of a script, and I agree, it's kind of messy. But at the core of it, it's really written well. It's acted superbly. And I think because of the historical reference and the times we're living in right now, I think most people, if you get to the end, will find it very relatable and will find it very good. And I actually encourage you to watch it, Andy, because of all the intelligent stuff about it, it still caters to you too.
The even super intelligent.
Right. I do have a movie you would love that I've seen since the last episode, and a movie that you would hate. And I think we probably have time for both.
All right, cool.
Your choice.
Let's start with what I would like. Actually, no. Let's do which one I hate, because I hate to go out on a bad note.
Well, if you had the last review, that's inevitable. Did you watch? First of all, did you watch anything that I would love or hate?
I didn't write it down, so I don't know.
You know, you have a memory, and we keep catalogs of memories in our brains of things that we went through.
Obviously, none of them that you would be
unbelievable.
Either way on it.
Great sentence there. Just I don't want to go on a bad note. Just a bad sentence and thought. General disdain for my life. A movie that you would hate. 1939's The Women.
Wow, why?
Well, the title.
No, that's not true.
Number one,
I'm a feminist.
It's 1939. It's black and white, directed by George Cukor. Who is he?
He directed The Women from 1939. I don't know who George Cukor is.
I just love you so much.
Well, you want me to? I'm not going to.
Do you want me to lie?
Yeah.
You did it the whole episode.
I don't do that about.
I love Tar. I want to see Banshees of Inisherin.
Those weren't lies. Anyway, go. It's pointless.
1939, The Women. It's a study of the lives and romantic entanglements of various interconnected women, starring all women. There's not one man in the entire movie, which for 1939 was a bold move. Because I watch it now and not knowing that fact. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I knew the fact, but you are going, there's no men in this movie. Oh my God, that must have been really shocking for 1939.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's starring some of the best actresses of its era. I mean, 39 was arguably the best film for the studio system in the golden age of Hollywood. I mean, you had Norma Shear, Rosalind Russell, Joan Crawford, Joan Fontaine, Paulette Goddard to some degree. And, the list goes on from there of great performances in this movie. It's really... I love the style of the movie because it's about a bunch of women's relationships falling apart. In particular, Norma Shear, her husband has decided to step out on her, and she hears this secondhand. And so she goes through the motions of separating, what it does to her and her relationship with her young daughter, and her relationship with all the other women who are her friends in this movie. She eventually confronts the woman that's cheating with her husband in Joan Crawford. And you always know Joan Crawford is going to play a wonderful Jezebel or femme fatale, whatever you want to call it. So the reasons you would hate it, do you need me to lay it out for you?
You know what? This time, no, but I think I will give this a watch just to surprise.
Just to piss me off. That's what you're saying. You're going to give this a watch to piss me off, and I don't support that. But I know Orson Welles famously said that he hated all of George Cukor's movies. I think it's one of the rare cases where he was wrong. And what the fuck am I talking about? He's been wrong a lot in his career, even though he's a hero of mine. Mm-hmm. But this in particular is a wonderful George Cukor movie because of the script, the performances, the way it was shot. You would probably know him the most I don't think this has ever been confirmed, or if it has, excuse me. But George Cukor, do you remember the Coen Brothers movie, Caesar?
Yes.
It wasn't called Caesar, dumbass.
Hail Caesar.
Thank you.
Oh, don't call me a dumbass. Get the fuck out of here. Mind your tongue.
What are you fucking Bud Abbott calling me a moron?
I'll come over there and Cukor you across the face.
In that movie, I think he was supposed to be the movie director that's directing the cowboy, and he can't get the cowboy to say the right words.
Oh, okay.
Okay, would that it were, would that it were,
Yes,
would
yes.
that it were. Oh, great scene, and that's a great movie.
Yeah, George Cukor made a lot of movies, man. He was a piece of the studio machine for sure.
Well, machine is right, because they just would crank them out, as it were. But I've been waiting a long time to see The Women, and I was not disappointed. It will break your heart. It will make you laugh, and it reminds you of why 1939 could be the best movie year in history, especially of the golden age. And Andy would not like it for every reason that I have said I liked it. So, and Andy, would you like to hear the movie that you would love?
I would love to hear the movie that I would love.
I finally saw 1980's Heaven's Gate.
Oh, yes.
You're the one, Nathan.
Yes.
3 hours and 40 minutes.
That's cool. I can do that.
You have seen Once Upon a Time in America.
Yes, I have.
Very similar run time, I think, right?
Yeah, it's close to 4 hours.
Yeah. This is another one of those epics in a Hollywood that doesn't exist anymore. How they gave Damien Chazelle 3 hours and 7 minutes on Babylon that's coming out on December 23rd, I do not know. I think that is a very, very tall order, and he's a very young director to be giving 3 hours of a movie. I hope this is not his Heaven's Gate. That's all I'm saying. Because Heaven's Gate, if you don't know, Andy, it was the movie that brought down the new Hollywood of the 70s.
Really?
It was the movie that bankrupted a studio and essentially told the inmates to go back into the asylum. The directors did not get final cut anymore. Budgets were overblown and overscheduled. They never made any money back. Most of these movies, that the new Hollywood directors turned in, and this was the one that finally just the ceiling was shattered, everything bottomed out, and the experiment became a failed experiment of the 70s, pinned on Heaven's Gate. Now, whether you want to believe all those things or not, because that's up for debate, by the way. Mm-hmm. This was the one movie that finally did it. I don't think you can primarily. You have to blame the entire 70s on. It had to crash at some point, and a movie like Heaven's Gate had to be the catalyst for that crash. So it's not fair to pin it on this movie. And watching the movie, that it's going to, it's going to be bloated. It's going to be long, and it's Michael Cimino, who also did Deer Hunter.
Right.
So it's going to be good. I mean, I think you do. At least I knew it was going to be very well directed. And it turns out that 3 hours and 40 minutes, you probably should have made a miniseries because there are so many loose ends that do not get tied up. And if you're going to do 3 hours and 40 minutes and I'm still going, well, I feel cheated on a couple plot points here, that's really fucked up.
Right.
Because you had 3 hours and 40 minutes to cover this, Happy to say it's kind of like The Godfather and Deer Hunter and a Terrence Malick movie kind of met.
Oh wow, that seems really interesting. I just pulled up the IMDb page.
Yeah, like Days of Heaven also in there. It's just like a mishmash of a lot of great movies from the 70s. Shot unbelievably well, really well acted. Just a little bit too big for its britches, but I think you'll love it because you'll identify with a lot of movies that you really love from the 70s, even though this is going to take you 4 days to get through.
No, I will have to block out like a whole entire 2 week span, and then
just watch an hour every day,
right? And then I'll get it done in 2 weeks. No, I remember you were telling me this story about. Was this the one where they used the ranch and they put the ranch under his name, or the director famously he
owned the land that they rented to shoot the movie on in Montana or Wyoming or wherever it was, and then the producers found out at the end of the shoot when they had gone so over budget that they had been paying rent to the director on his own land and going over budget and over schedule, which is kind of my favorite Hollywood story at the moment because that's fucking genius.
It is. But no, the movie looks fantastic. I'm down.